You are listening to the Savage FINcast, episode 126. Rip, rip, and rip once again.
Chicago. A criminal mastermind called Overlord held our city in his terrifying grip. Ordinary cops were losing the battle against Overlord's super freaks and mutants. Then, a miracle happened. When I found him, he had no memory of his past. I helped him find an identity and a life. Now we have a fighting chance. Now we have the dragon.
This is the Savage FINcast, the show that doesn't have time to listen to you whine. My name is Jim Purcell.
I'm Craig Olson.
And I'm Mark Welser, filling in for Raven Perez, who is on location.
It's great to have you back again, Mark. Thanks for stepping in to help us out in these trying times.
It's good to be back. Thanks for having me, pals.
Now,
hopefully I will not piss everybody off by making fun of Freak Force.
It's too late.
Feel free for that. I mean, there's only one person that really bothers.
Right. Who cares?
And that's Vic Bridges.
Yep. Top fan, friend of the show, Vic Bridges.
All right, so we got a ton to get through, so let us get started on that. Going into the news right away, we got Eric telling us on Facebook that he is colorizing the Megaton Dragon versus Vanguard story that ran way back in the Megaton comics. They're going to be in issue 267, which is the wedding issue, the big anniversary issue. So that's something to look forward to. I got to say, the coloring that has been shown off on Facebook looks amazing.
Yeah, A+. I love that stuff.
I mean, he's mostly grumbling about how much of a pain in the ass it is, but it's coming out great.
Yeah, those old stuff, they always look good when he does that retro coloring.
It's funny, like, the amount of effort and time to make it look like shitty old comics.
Make it look terrible. It takes a lot of time and effort to make it look like shit.
To make it look like good, terrible, old printing.
Right.
I love it, though. I love when he does these things. I don't know. I mean, I've seen this story so many times, so I'm not the most excited about these reprints.
This will be the fourth time, I think.
But it is cool to see it colored.
Not even. Oh, and it'll also be reprinted for a fifth time in roughly the same month.
Oh.
We'll get to that.
This is what story was it? Was this the one from Megaton number 3?
Yeah, I think it's Dragon versus Vanguard, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll be honest, I don't remember that one as much, so it'll be nice to revisit.
Is that one the one with the Soviet robot, or is that a separate story?
Yeah, the Soviet robot was maybe Megaton number 1.
Okay, and that's just Dragon. I mean, right? Or is that Vanguard? I can't remember.
I don't remember.
Right.
Because I think Dragon appears at the end of the story in Megaton 2 on like the last page, and then Megaton 3 they fight, I think.
Which is the classic cover of Vanguard and Dragon punching it out.
Which everyone says is the first appearance of Dragon, even though he showed up on the last page in the previous book. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, it's worth millions of dollars.
Yeah, you can get part 2 for much cheaper.
All right, so what's our next item?
We have a image released for the cover for Savage Dragon 268. We've got what appears to be Malcolm Dragon getting punched in the groin yet again.
Just can't get a break.
It seems to be a little higher. It says, this one you don't dare miss. What power unleashed? And what power is being unleashed, I wonder.
One does wonder. I believe a similar concept appeared within the pages of our own Super Freaks, perhaps.
Oh,
Well, I find interesting is that that's clearly supposed to be Maxine, but we don't see her face, and I wonder if that's
some kind of like mimic.
Yeah.
So, I gotta apologize because I didn't include the solicitation, but there is one out for that.
Oh no!
I didn't include it in our agenda, so I apologize, Mark. But the solicitation is Malcolm is settling into his new home on the West Coast and his new job, containing and controlling the all-out mayhem in the region. It's the start of a bold new direction as Malcolm Dragon assembles his team and faces a threat of unparalleled proportions. Strap in for the ride of a lifetime. Strap in, dudes.
Maxine likes the sound of that.
Yeah, that solicitation is refreshingly vague.
Oh yeah, all Savage Dragon solicitations are refreshingly vague.
Right.
Anything can happen.
And typically it does. Yeah, so, it's a good cover. It's Malcolm getting punched. We've seen it. He's going through a wall.
Yeah. Yeah, I had the first thought that you did though, Mark, is like, is that really Maxine? Or like, it is kind of like you don't see a face, so it makes you wonder.
Doppelganger.
Yeah, it looks very intentionally hiding that face.
All right, well, moving on then, we have a solicitation for the Megaton collection, which is actually coming out through Image Comics. It's priced at $29.99, and the solicitation reads, the black and white anthology Megaton was at the forefront of the independence comic revolution, and from 1981 to 1987, publisher and writer Gary Carlson helped rewrite comics history. Eric Larson's Savage Dragon and Rob Liefeld's Youngblood both debuted in Megaton, prompting Liefeld to later dub Carlson the grandfather of Image Comics. And the series was notable for launching the careers of a veritable who's who of artists. Now celebrating Megaton's 40th anniversary, the original 8 issues are collected for the first time ever in their entirety, in chronological order and in glorious black and white, scanned from the art and film negatives used to publish the original comics. Collects Megaton 1 through 8, plus early ads for the series, unpublished art, preliminary character designs, and commentary by Carlson and more.
So we're going to get all those Vanguard and Dragon stories reprinted here as well. So we'll be able to refresh our memories on all of them.
It's kind of cool to see this happen. I know there's been a lot of talk about this over the years, and I'm glad it's coming out through Image. It seems like a perfect fit.
Did Youngblood really debut in Megaton, though? Wasn't it just a house ad?
Yeah, and it was in like a small kind of like a, I don't know if it's not really like an ash can. Wouldn't you call it that, Mark? I don't know if you know the Megaton explosion.
Yeah, I don't have explosion, so I'm not real sure.
I have it, and it's just kind of like a little write-up on all the Megaton characters and stuff like that. But there was also an ad, and I think, was it actually called Youngblood? It was called something else, I think, like X Mutants or something.
Yeah, I don't remember. Another book. I don't remember the whole story about that, but I do remember hearing that he initially intended to call it X something, and then the Marvel offices got really mad about it.
Yeah,
I remember that story. I just don't know the specifics.
But a lot of the characters are the same. I do have Megaton Explosion. It's like a really cheaply like newsprint, thin kind of like an ash can. But they are pretty prominent in that. So it kind of is like their first appearance, at least.
It doesn't mention here if that's going to be in the collection or not, does it?
I assume it's going to be because it says,
yeah.
Let me see.
It just says 1 through 8.
Plus early ads and.
Okay. But not the holiday special.
Well, that's the thing. I was about to say there's also the holiday special, and I think there's one other book too, but I can't remember the name. It might be the holiday special now that I think about it.
Yeah, I wonder why that's not in there, not talked about.
I think that was published through Eternity Comics. Maybe there's like a rights issue or something.
You're right.
Yeah.
It was like pre-bagged, poly-bagged or something.
I actually own that one.
Yeah. Yeah, it's been a while since I went through those. I do own them. But
it's cool to have. It's cool to. These are the kind of reprints I look that I get really interested about. I'm actually more interested in like the actual Megaton stories, to be completely honest, because that guy's been showing up in Big Bang Adventures, and I want to know more about Megaton.
Do you not have all the old Megaton books, Jim?
No, I do not.
They used to be like so cheap. I don't know if maybe they still are. I don't know. I think
I've never run into a single one in the wild, or else I probably would have bought them. That's why I have the holiday special, because it's the only one I've ever found.
There are a ton of good artists that came out of that, though, for real. It's pretty amazing.
Right. Yeah. And our next
Angel Medina and Larson and Liefeld, and there's a million names that I can't think of any.
Yeah, Angel Medina went on to do like the Warlock books in the 90s for a while. Yeah. Didn't he do some Spawn?
He did, I think, one of the Spawn spin-offs, I think. And he did the Berserker and the Berserker episode or issue of Vanguard as well. That was him, as far as I remember.
Right. Jackson, how do you say his last name? Geese or G-U-I? Geis. Yeah, he's had a career, pretty good career. He did a bunch. I'm trying to think who else was in there. Oh, of course, Frank Fosco. He was in there.
Mm-hmm.
Trying to think. There's definitely, like you said, there's Angel Medina. I know. Yeah, there's definitely someone else that I'm missing.
Yeah, there's another big one, but it's escaping me right now. So apologies to fill in the name here later, Jim.
All right, cool. Well, let's move on.
Well, our next bit of news is very similar. We got solicitation information for Savage Dragon Ultimate Collection Volume 2, which is scheduled to be out in June 27th. Its solicitation text goes, Savage Dragon's formative years collected at last. This massive hardcover collects a host of the Savage Dragon's most epic adventures, featuring a slugfest with Super Patriot, Jimbo the Mighty Lobster, the Fiend, She-Dragon, Widow, Vanguard, Dragon Possessed, and the final showdown with the villainous Overlord. Savage Dragon The Ultimate Collection Volume 2 is a can't-miss for all burgeoning fanatics looking for an easy way to start this long-running series from the beginning. Introduction by Eric Larson. It collects Savage Dragon 9 through 21, including relevant portions of Wildcats 14, plus loads of extras.
Nice.
All right. So, yeah, it means the next Ultimate Collection is nice. It's coming out. Looks like 6 months after the last one. Hopefully it keeps up that pace. I
don't understand relevant portions of Wildcats 14.
Good question, because
like going to miss some pages because he drew the whole issue.
I'm more confused because I thought like the quote unquote relevant pages were what was in Savage Dragon 13.
I think they're because I know when he collected it in the black and whites, the archives.
Yeah,
they were all pretty much Wildcats and Dragon 13 were both in there for the most part. I think there was one page in Wildcats that was different from Dragon. It was the last page.
When they're at the beach or something.
That might be what they're referring to, because I know it's like the last page had more of the perspective from Wildcats, whereas in the Dragon 13, it was from the Dragon Raptor and Dragon. Yeah, so that might be the only change.
Yeah, probably. He probably swapped that.
But that seems like a weird thing to call out in a solicitation.
Yeah.
Yeah, instead of just saying Wildcats 14 like anyone would care.
Right. Well, who knows?
Gotta slap the word Wildcats on there somewhere. Get someone's attention.
Well, I'm very much looking forward to the loads of extras.
Yeah. Like, what is that going to be? Besides, I don't know.
What else could there be?
I mean, I can't imagine he's going to do it like Volume 1 where he just put a shit ton of stuff in the back.
Well, I know in the old trade paperbacks, he used to have tons of back material for those. Lots of sketchbook stuff. I think that was right around the time where he was doing the cartoons. So there was all these cartoon drawings and a lot of characters. He was still figuring out doing sketches and stuff. I know back in that era, there's still a lot of sketches. I'm hoping there's a bunch that we have never seen before.
I hope he does like prints like at least like a decent size of all like the title cards from the cartoon. That was cool.
Right. It'd be nice to get him in color, although I don't know if he has probably doesn't have those.
No, probably not. All right.
Oh,
well, shall we move this train along? We got a lot of letters to get through.
Well, let's start us off, Craig, with the...
All right, everyone's favorite segment, FINteresting Conversations, where we pose a question to get the conversation going and ask you, the listener, to respond and or suggest your own topic. So on our last regular episode, we asked, what other Savage Dragon character should get a one-issue spotlight dedicated to them? And so we asked you to write us, and we got a ton of letters this time. So this really must have been something that, struck a nerve. Thanks. I'm having a brain fart here. Just a reminder, if you want to respond, send us an email at savagefincast@gmail.com. Once we get through all these letters, we will pose a new FINteresting conversation. So let's start with our first mail response. We had Ken Albery. He writes, hello, gentlemanly trio. When the question, what other Savage Dragon character should get a one-issue spotlight, was posed, we all know I am going to answer one character, Insect. So here I go. I'm going to go with Insect. Honestly, I would love to see an issue like 264 dedicated to any of the characters that have come along with little or no backstory. However, I'm going to continue to be a broken record, submitting that with the Dragon family now being aware of Billy's existence, Insect's actions prior to her injury are important to the main storyline. Insect stepped in for Billy when no other VC member would have. If not for her taking over that motherly role, it's possible that Billy would not have survived to make it to the end of issue 263. How much of an impact Billy will have on the title remains to be seen, but I don't think it will be minor. What was her motivation to do so? What in her background made her take in this green fin kid? I find that villains that are not always villainous make for amazing characters. Powerhouse is another example. There's so much we could find out about Insect that I've posed before. Is she truly bad? Did she join the VC to survive or out of want? Does that damn costume come off? When did she learn she could talk to bugs? How many times has she chilled in a cocoon to recover from an injury inflicted at the hands of samurai? However, I question if we should get another issue like 264 at all. I'm among those that now consider the story of Paul to be my favorite issue of the series, or up there at the top of the list anyway. Is it even possible to match the amazingness of that issue? I think you guys nailed it when you discussed how our rough knowledge of the events that are depicted in the new issue make them important. It's exciting to have all the events from Eric's childhood books, graphic fantasy, and Megaton become canon. Issue 264 is more than the sum of its parts. I don't think using the same format with another character would ever live up to the issue we just read. In closing, thanks again for all you guys do. I enjoy the podcast tremendously. I spent my time drawing birthday art for Raven while listening to this episode. Keep up the good work. Ken Albery, pronounced Alberry. No more need to struggle with it. Well, I think Ken's going to be disappointed after reading this
bad news. I hope he's sitting down.
But you never know. Maybe she is in a cocoon right now inside her costume.
Metamorphosizing into the butterfly, the monarch. No, that's somebody else.
Oh, that's been done.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
thanks for the letter. I'm next, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So next letter, Connor Tierney. He writes in, hey guys, in response to your more recent FINteresting question, one character I'd loved a full issue showcase for is Dixie Dexter. She's been a background character since her introduction, and I feel like there's a lot that could be done exploring her experiences growing up with a genius father who got mutated by a Dimension X alien, turned himself into a robot, and then died. And a socially stunted superhero mother who herself wasn't properly raised by anyone. I can't imagine that upbringing would create a well-balanced person at all, but I think there's a lot of intrigue to be found there for that reason. Also gives the chance to have some Freak Force adjacent bits here and there, so we can see what they've been up to over the last few years of the story. Maybe even a look at Barbaric and Ricochet's kids at long last. My second pick would be Killcat Origin, a Killcat Origin issue where we see him before he meets Kid Avenger. It's been great having Dragon Back Monthly and having FINcast episodes to listen to alongside it. Keep up the great work as always, Connor Tierney. On that second bit, we actually already seen Killcat's origin in the Deadly Duo miniseries.
Yeah.
And we actually saw some solo Killcat and Freak Force. Now, that's not to say we can't have more, but it has been done. As for the Dixie Dexter spotlight, I fully agree. I think her parentage is pretty fascinating. From that same point of view of having the genius father who is also an alien and a robot and a mother who was not raised very well. It definitely would create an interest. I think you could do a lot with that kind of character. And I do
in the book so infrequently that as you were reading that letter, I had to think, who the fuck is Dixie?
Yeah, it's like, it just sucks that the market can't bear like another Freak Force or spin-off series. And like, we're so spoiled with like the early issues of Dragon where all those characters could be fleshed out like on side books that you didn't have to worry about it. And now like where that market doesn't support that, it's like you don't see a character for like 15 years.
Well, with them moving back to the States, maybe we'll get some more of some of these Freak Force kids.
Maybe now's their time to shine.
Because we really haven't seen a lot of them.
Yeah, I want to see what's up with that, with the chief character from the Sunday Funnies.
Yes.
And Barbaric and Ricochet. How many kids they just had one kid, right? They just had
they have like 3, don't they?
Did they?
2. There's at least 2 or 3. We definitely talked about this in one of the FINcast episodes. Like one of the funerals, you could see them.
They had several kids. All right. I wonder if they also have bouncy blood.
Bouncy, like bubbly things that turn into eggs.
Correct.
No one's going to get that reference unless they just listen to that retro issue.
Now I really kind of hope the whole new SOS lineup is all the kids only. Honestly, get them all on one team. Next generation SOS.
Oh, like in the San Francisco team he's putting together?
Yeah.
I mean,
you still get to use Mighty Man, and you still get to, Super Patriot can still be like a mentor character.
Right.
But I'm assuming, like, where does Dixie Dexter live now? Did she stay in the U.S.? She's like an alien, right? Did she go up to Canada with?
No,
I can't remember.
That's a good question.
Her mother died in the U.S., so she was in the U.S., and we've seen her with Freak Force in various group shots we've seen of them.
How old is she now?
Teenager, probably.
Okay. All right. I'm just wondering if she is old enough that where she no longer needs a parental guardian or not.
So let's see. Date of birth 2007.
Oh, I guess she's not that old. I guess she's
old enough.
Barely.
Well, great. Bring her in the book. Let's see what she's got. Dixie Dexter and the Midnight Runners. Let's bring her on.
I'm like, so what do you guys guess for how many kids Barbaric has?
3.
I said 1, and clearly it was wrong.
Let's see.
Oh, did you not already look it up?
Oh, he doesn't have the answer.
I'm looking it up.
I was ready for the reveal.
No, I'm slow.
The most pregnant of pauses.
Let's see. Kids. 3.
Oh, wow. That is a lot.
Cody Running Bear, Hunter Running Bear, and Tiffany Running Bear.
Huh.
Showed up in issue 169 and 263.
Well, let's see more of them.
All right.
Great. All right. Bring them on. Shall we move on?
Let's move on.
To our next letter. This one comes to us from Hemi Cooper. It says, I would like to see Chaos and Control give it an issue. How did they find each other? What happened to Control in the Image universe after Chaos was killed? I imagine him finding and raising a baby Chaos. I imagine Amy will somehow smuggle Walter into San Francisco. Yeah, I've always wondered about Chaos and Control's relationship, because I think, didn't we see another Chaos in the book at one point? That did not have a control?
So,
yes.
Did we?
Yes.
Oh. I don't remember that.
I think back in like the 40s, I think, right?
Yeah, I want to say so. And then that's the Image universe, and then he's back in this, what we call Malcolm's universe, the Savage world.
Yeah.
Well,
he's actually going to be in the issue that we talk about, right?
Is he?
Yes, for like a panel.
Oh, I thought he was dead. I thought he died during
Nope.
Oh.
Chaos and Control?
Yeah, I think Control's dead. I think he died during the raid when Paul and Malcolm took out the Vicious Circle.
Oh, Control. Maybe.
Oh, yeah, Chaos. Because his
Yeah,
last
I'm pretty sure they
appearance
both died.
is in 262, which is that issue. I don't know. I
Oh, yeah, he's not in. I'm sorry, not in this. Yeah, 262. You're right, 262.
Yeah, Mako killed him.
Yeah, Mako killed him.
him.
A building fell on him.
You're right. I apologize.
All right, well, there you go. Yeah.
All right.
So, I think Walter should go with them to San Francisco.
He absolutely should. He definitely.
We haven't
needs to stay in the
seen
book.
much of him yet.
Yeah, I gotta imagine he somehow makes his way there.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on. We got Ron Ruvalcaba, and I think Mark is Juan been a Finhead for longer than you?
He may have been. I remember when he was posting on the Savage forum as Johnny Bubbles. He also used to have a Savage Dragon fan page.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, he was one of the other ones. He was one of the first guys that I met in Chicago in, I think, 2001 or 2000 when we went to Chicago when we all had lunch with Eric and Chris Eliopoulos. He's been around for a while. I think he may have been around before me.
I think he's got more Savage Dragon commissions than probably anybody, would you say?
Yeah. I think he'd be a good one because he also, I think he collects, or at least he shares a lot of international translated issues of Dragon as well.
Yes, yeah. He's always an awesome contributor to the Facebook page.
He's a big fan. He's a real cool dude. And I miss you, Johnny Bubbles.
All right. So Juan says, "Hey, fellas. Dang, I was all gearing up to send an actual letter for 263 and write to you guys about the show discussing the issue. But then you go ahead and drop the FINcast for Ant 6. Then Eric goes ahead and decides to turn the book into a monthly again. And you guys got right back in the booth and dropped a whole new episode for 264. Give a Finedict some time to catch up. Can't wait for the book to move to San Francisco. Regarding your previous FINteresting question, hopefully most of the supporting cast stays in Canada and maybe we see mentions of Tootsie and North Force on the news. But for the most part, I'm interested in seeing the new characters we'll be introduced to in San Francisco. As for the new FINteresting question, my joke answer is issue 300 will be a standalone John Day issue. My real answer is Frank Darling Jr. Let's get a whole episode about him and his relationship with his pop. We never got to really see this version of Frank grow up. We only got to meet him after the cast moves to the Savage World. Let's get a couple of flashbacks of young Frank interacting with Dark World Dragon. Does he have any trauma of seeing his dad struggle with only one arm? Maybe take it from a Marvel's Kingdom Come angle and play up his humanity, mortality in a world filled with gods and demonoids. As for my own FINteresting questions and conversations, I have two for you guys. Do you think the Wicked Worm is an agent of the demonoids, and will we see him return in service to the demonoid sorcerer? And finally, if Malcolm or any of his kids started a pop punk ska band, what would be the band name? I'm thinking the Green Meanies or maybe Dry Rot and the Meat Grinders. Anyway, thanks for another awesome episode, fellas. Can't wait for the next issue and the next FINcast. So pretty good suggestions. I think we're going to have to steal one for the FINteresting Conversations later on, the new one. I like his thought about Frank Jr. At first, I was like, but the more he talked about it, it is kind of cool maybe to see it from that Marvel's point of view. Like, what does the Savage Dragon universe look like from like a normal person?
I bet he's got a pretty fucked up life.
I always enjoyed like the cop aspect of Savage Dragon, even when it left and the cops are still in the picture. Like, I always thought it was kind of cool that like the cops are kind of like the main adversary against these villains. You know what I mean? Like that it wasn't other superhero groups that were taking them on. It was like regular cops and just Savage Dragon or a superhero here and there.
Yeah, I know that's a very popular era of the book. That didn't last very long. I know because when I started reading the book, he was a cop, and I know a lot of people associate that as like the iconic look of Dragon. But yeah, that was great. There was so many different characters. We got to learn a lot. I feel like we learned more about the cops than we did some of these other SOS guys.
Yeah.
You know, like Rita Metermaid and William Johnson and all them.
I think it was so iconic because nobody else did that at the time. There were no powers or any of those kind of like books that are kind of like, you know, it's more commonplace now and just people take it for granted. But back then, you know, it was a pretty novel idea.
I think to the point, like when Powers came out, there was some talk of like, oh, this is like a Savage Dragon.
Probably
book, but it ended up being something completely different. But yeah, nobody else had done it before.
And then did Joe Quesada have that character? It was like a fireman or something.
Ash.
Yeah, Ash.
Yeah.
My guy's gonna be a postal worker.
Be a file clerk.
He's gonna go postal. That's gonna be his catchphrase. I'm going postal.
Deliver us from evil.
I'm gonna put my stamp on it. What do you think of Juan's question about the Wicked Worm as an agent of the demonoids? I mean, Wicked Worm kind of looks like.
Yeah, he's got a little of that gnarled demonoid look. I don't know. We don't really have any history for what we don't have any history for him. He's just kind of a Mighty Man villain from the 40s who's just kind of stuck around.
Yeah.
But
I don't see much similarity there between them and the demonoids.
Yeah, I suspect he's his own thing.
It's just his own thing, Juan.
Well, there you go. Well, thanks for writing in, Juan.
All right, next letter we got from Jeremy Daw. Hey guys, this is a great question to think about given the expansive cast of Dragon. I have a few potential plots which I have been curious about. Idea number 1. The story of how members of the Vicious Circle had relocated to Toronto had been fun to read. I have wondered about Chicago as our story has been in Toronto for the last few years, and Frank Jr. on the police force. To me, there are a good number of subjects to explore. One being, does Chicago still have a contingent of Vicious Circle freaks operating in the city? Has Frank Jr. moved up in the police force? Is there some internal conflict regarding his work in law enforcement compared to his father's? How has parenting of a little girl gone for him? I think that within the title Going Back to the States, there are stories with a great supporting cast in the background. The reader could not only discover what's in San Francisco, but also where the book began. Most likely, Eric has ideas on this. As much as I have liked the fights and unpredictable nature they have in this book, the slice of life bits where it gets quiet are some of my favorite stories. Idea number 2. I know that the book has explored Maxine's insatiable sex drive in previous issues, but a one shot where it's more of Maxine being a mom to the kids, running the house. To me, I think it would be interesting because this is one area in her life where she would have the most control over, given Malcolm's line of work and general chaos that occurs in the family. I kept thinking she was developing a Marie Kondo. I kept thinking she was developing a Marie Kondo where she's all about organization and cleaning. The dynamic between Maxine and Malcolm has always been fun to read, yet Her becoming over controlling in the house with the children as a byproduct of all the stuff the family has gone through intrigues me. Idea 3. The idea is that, just for giggles and anything, given the deluge of corporate superhero TV shows and movies, what if one studio took a chance in dramatizing the crime fighting of Kill Cat, and the resulting movie is an unexpected success? It would be hilarious to me how obnoxious and jealous Alan would get over his newfound fame because the movie tells his story wrong by making him look heroic and smart, and try to parlay this success into a live streaming crime fighting program to give his audience how real crime fighting works. You could have a guest spot by Neutron Bob to see how he's faring. I've enjoyed your show for quite some time, guys. I'm looking forward to the next episode. Best, Jeremy Daw.
Man, he's got some real ideas.
Yeah.
Playing these out.
2 letters in a row asking for more
Frank Jr.
More Frank Jr. I don't believe Chicago currently has a vicious circle condition because it got freak out bombed. The whole idea is that they wiped out all the superhumans. Whether or not more have moved in since is another question. But I think the implication is Chicago has calmed the hell down a lot from where it was.
That is my understanding. Yeah.
Now, don't forget one of the remember. As for Frank's role in the department, remember back in the Funnies issue, he basically got cold cocked by what's his fucking face.
Oh yeah, I forgot that Dick Tracy strip.
Yeah. And
I totally forgot about that.
I don't think he's best friends with most of the department right now. I think he's kind of on their shit list, or at least in the corrupt cop shit list, which is definitely something.
I'm gonna go back and look at that.
I do recall there was some fallout from that where we saw him in the hospital with a bandage on his head, so that's definitely canon. So whether or not he's still actually, a cop, I'm actually kind of curious about, because I don't know if that's actually been fully established since then, if he's still working as a police officer.
No, I can't remember seeing it show up since then. It's still, I forgot all about that.
Also, I had to look up who Marie Kondo was.
Yeah, I have no idea.
She was the lady that throws out stuff that doesn't bring you joy or whatever.
Oh, right.
I've never heard of this person in my life.
Yeah, it was a meme.
Okay.
Yeah. The joke is that she's it's supposed to be anti-hoarding, but she goes a little bit too far with things that aren't hoarding, and so it's kind of a joke now.
Gotcha.
And there's mention also here of a Kill Cat TV show and movies, and there was a Kill Cat movie in Deadly Duo number, I think, was it 4?
In the second series,
the
must
second
be?
series, yeah.
Oh, I haven't read that.
Oh, that's right. Jim has not read that, but that they tried to make a Kill Cat movie.
I would be funny if there was a successful Kill Cat movie that did not represent his life at all. I think that actually would be pretty funny.
Right.
It'll be interesting to see how it actually goes down in the actual series.
I feel like a better fit for him would be like a show like Cops, where it just follows him around Detroit beating the shit out of people.
Yeah, people get to really see what Kill Cat's all about.
Right, and he's hamming it up for the cameras and stuff. I think that'd be great. Let's make it happen.
Kid Avenger keeps accidentally killing the cameraman.
Right. That'd be good. Is that all we have for that letter, or do you have anything else you want to add?
That's it, I think.
All right, let's move on to James Sheehan. Wrote a letter. Says, "Hi again, friends. I love the side banter of the last few episodes about ska music, but I won't get into it here for Craig's sake. I like ska music and Operation Ivy and Sublime. Yes, I have a few children, 12, 14, and 25. My 14-year-old is just getting into comics. He likes just few books, Swamp Thing and Gunslinger Spawn, but I'm getting him into Savage Dragon. I got him the Ultimate Collection. As far as the FINteresting Conversation, I'd like to see a spotlight on Powerhouse. I think Raven mentioned him as side jargon in the last episode, but I'd like to read about Powerhouse. I find him to be a great character and a superb brawler. I'd like to see who had Mask in the past, to see possibly the different wielders or wearers. of the mask from different time periods that alone could fill up a comic. Maybe even see his own perspective on some of his fights with Dragon and Malcolm throughout the past years as well. Thanks again for your podcast, guys. Take care. P.S. And we need more feisty Jim. I mean, slabbers and worm wrestling, fucking perfect.
Feisty Jim.
You'll have to remind me about worm wrestling. What was that?
I know slabbers.
It's got to be about dicks. I actually can't remember myself.
It's got to be about dicks.
Oh, he's getting so feisty, he's lost his memory.
Yeah.
Something about wrangling wicked worms, something like that.
That sounds about right. That sounds like one of the disgusting things that you would say on your podcast here,
John. I do like when Feisty Jim makes an appearance. It's like once every maybe 5 episodes, a little bit. It's very feisty.
But there's some good points brought up here about Powerhouse and his mask.
I forgot that he kind of received the mask, so there could be other Powerhouse throughout history.
Giant chicken men through the ages.
Yeah. One of them looks like The Rock. He's basically Powerhouse is basically the Black Adam Savage Dragon.
Hey head. What a great character. I do love me some Powerhouse.
I gotta be honest, I love Powerhouse. I kind of hate the idea that just taking his mask off takes his powers away.
You're going to love this issue.
Right, yeah, that seems to be a running theme with
All right,
thanks for your letter, James.
Yeah, thanks. Let's keep it moving. We're almost through. Next letter is by someone that goes by the handle Thrawn7, I guess. He writes, "Hello, Jim, Craig, and insert Mark here. Right. Somebody pinch me. An issue a month within 2 months. Wow. In answer to your previous FINteresting conversation, I agree with one Jim's answer, The Seeker. I'd love to see a deep dive of the character's origin, a few different adventures, and the return where a female coroner puts on the helmet and it turns her into the Sheeker."
Oh, Jesus.
It was wonderful to get 2 back-to-back monthly issues again. I loved the Mako-centric blood-soaking issue and thoroughly enjoyed the Paul Dragon origin issue. Even though a reverse Jaws movie poster variant cover for issue 263 where Mako is the swimmer and Amy Dragon is the largemouth monster rising from the depths would have been delicious eye candy. On the subject of covers, I have a FINteresting conversation suggestion for you. I've recently been on a connecting comic book cover kick, and that got me thinking. Does Savage Dragon have any connecting cover storylines? After some research, I found out Savage Dragon 17, the dragon cover, and the Rapture She dragon cover. That's the one for you listeners with, I guess, the lightning going back and forth. Looks like a connecting cover, but it doesn't. Issue 15 has more of a wraparound cover and would you count the Image United each issue connecting covers as a Savage Dragon connecting cover? I'm bringing this up because what issues, story arc, and number of issues would you connect together, and what would be your epic tale? My first thought would be some kind of Emperor Dragon event where it is Dragon fighting a different character on the cover of each issue. 163 with Thor, 164 with Vanguard, 165 Super Patriot, 166 Mr. Glum, 167 Malcolm and Angel, and so on and so on. Basically, Dragon and previous mentioned characters are fighting on the cover of each issue while the landscape and backgrounds match like a progression. However, that might be too complicated for the great Eric Larson, so my backup would be issue 140 and 141, where Dragon and other heroes are fighting Solar Man with all the heroes on the left side, issue 140, and the right side, 141, is just Solar Man charging towards our heroes. Hey, if Jim can pick multiple characters for the current FINteresting conversation, therefore ruining other people's answers, then I can too. Thank you, as always, for this podcast. Keep creating, and I'll keep listening.
Yeah, but I didn't that idea. I didn't pick a bunch of characters simultaneously. Kind of defeats the purpose of a spotlight when everyone's there.
I think those kind of covers don't lend well to like making an interesting cover because you're only seeing like half the picture. but I'm not sure Eric would go for that. But maybe. I don't know. What do you guys think?
I think the closest thing we did was Dragon number 30 and 31, was it? Where the last page and the first page connected?
Yeah. Oh, the inside. Yeah.
Such
yeah.
a cool,
the interiors,
cool
yeah. But as far as covers, no, I don't think he's ever done connecting covers. I don't think he's ever done it at Marvel either, has he?
No, I don't think he's done connecting covers.
No. I mean, you got Jim Lee's X-Men #1 kind of did that.
You know, it's funny. Savage Dragon. We just did it on our retro. The one with Dragon jumping through fire, and then there's the variant cover with She-Dragon and Rapture jumping.
Number 17.
Yeah, there's those two covers. I always thought they were connector covers, but they actually don't connect at all.
No, that's what he says in his letter. Yeah, they don't. Yeah. They're kind of like a little off. They look like they do, but they're off.
They're just kind of mirror images of each other with slightly different backgrounds.
Yeah. I wonder if this comes up because, I said the X-Men that Jim Lee did. Spawn just copy that?
Yeah, I'm sure.
And it was like
I don't
really
know,
well done.
Probably yes. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't like that X-Men #1 cover. It's very weird. Where they're like all fighting, like facing Magneto, but then Magneto's facing the reader.
That's true. He is. Yeah.
It's tough to get a good composition with those connecting covers.
Yeah.
As standalones, and even when they connect, they look awkward as hell.
Well, the real challenge is because of how comics are cut, they never actually line up.
I can attest to this. We did, Rich and we did connecting covers on Gods of Brutality, and not only did they not quite match up, but issue 3 was printed like darker than the other ones.
Oh.
So when you put them next together, the number 3 definitely stands out. But
that was like the variant covers, right? Where each character.
Those were variants.
One of my favorite comic maxi series of all times is Earth X, which was a Marvel comic from the early 2000s, and its gimmick had 14 issues that all butted up against each other to make a giant poster, and it never lined up.
No.
Sounds like a nightmare.
Oh, yeah, it's tough, and I don't plan on ever doing a connecting cover again, and I don't suggest Eric do it either. It's no fun. You're just going to get pissed off. And
I would suggest a 4-way gatefold before I ever suggest a connecting cover.
I think the only
with Vanguard.
Yeah, that was the only one. Vanguard had that.
Wait, Vanguard had a folding cover?
Yeah.
Number 1. Yeah.
Wow, I forgot about that.
Yeah, they're forgetful. I don't know. It's like, what's the point? Like, you can't see it when you're looking at the book. You have to unfold. I don't know. I don't really go for it.
And Vanguard 1 too. When you unfolded it, it's like I don't remember what you were getting that was so awesome that it needed 3.
It wasn't
pages. It was like a ship.
Was it that, or was it Supreme? Was there or something?
Yeah, it was mostly space and stars.
Yeah. It wasn't anything rememberable.
Not worth
memorable, I should say. Rememberable. All right, let's move on. We got 2 more.
All right. So Ryan Alexander Tanner writes, "Hey fellas, love the show. I always look forward to hearing your thoughts on the latest issue after it comes out. I sure wouldn't mind if you found a way to crank out those retro podcasts too. I'd listen to as many episodes as you could produce while I'm working in my studio. Anywho, I always think about replying to the FINteresting Conversation topic, so I'm finally getting it together to do so. I love the Paul Dragon issue, and it's fun to think about who else could work well with a Spotlight issue. Obviously, these kinds of issues would slow things down for a series that already has trouble keeping up with its huge cast and real-time approach, but they're a good way to fill in gaps on characters who didn't get enough attention along the way. I've always loved the character of Ricochet, such a great design, and I always like characters with bounce powers for some reason. An issue that filled in her early years, quote, we could finally see all the stuff that went down with the Inhabitor, and gave us more details about her life with Barbaric and Company that we've only seen peripherally throughout the series. I'm sure it'll never happen. I don't know if there's another person on the planet that would pick Ricochet for an issue like this, but I like the idea. There's a ton of other characters that I enjoyed a similar approach to. It would be interesting to learn about Rex Dexter's past and see what he was up to when he wasn't working with Dragon. Powerhouse Year 1 would be really cool too. Really, there are a lot of characters that we've learned some background about, but never got to see it happen. I'd like to learn more about Dung and his weird poo children, for example. Dung Family Tree, sign me up. Thanks again for a great podcast. P.S. I want to see the John Day backstory issue. How did he show up in the background so many times in so many circumstances? How has living in the background of Dragon's many adventures been for him? I want to know. That's two people who wanted John Day.
I think John Day would be a good choice for like a Marvel's Kingdom Come story as well. Right?
I don't know. Would that take the mystique out of John Day?
Of course it would.
So Frank Jr., John Day, and Killcat team up.
Right. This guy, I think one of the problems with doing stories that are like flashbacks is now with all the merging of all these worlds.
Right.
It's so confusing about which reality this flashback takes place in, and it doesn't even matter. You could tell the flashbacks for Ricochet from 3 different dimensions or whatever.
Yeah.
And they could be completely different stories. I think that kind of stuff gets too confusing.
I don't agree, but I also understand. Okay. I think that stuff can be made to make sense, especially if you just focus on one of the versions. Like in this case, it would probably be the Savage World version, since she's the relevant one.
Right.
I don't know. I think Ricochet is an interesting choice, and I also kind of like bouncing characters. So.
Yeah, and I think seeing like her and Jerry the Inhabitor, it's an interesting story, but it's like, which one is it? You know?
Yeah.
Is this the Image version? Is this the Savage World version? And
well, their history would remain the same pretty much up until Savage Dragon #1, and then you just got to deal with whichever. If you're going to Australia or you're going to Freak Force.
Right, I guess you're right, but any other character that would have changes after that, I guess, would be confusing. And maybe that's just me because I'm a dummy and I can't seem to make sense of all these different dimensions.
I see.
So I have a hard enough time following it now with one book, with one main story. Yeah,
it is difficult.
I think the Paul Dragon issue was great because that was stuff that we haven't seen and we don't, and
maybe it's because
we all knew about.
Maybe it's because when I started reading comics, I gravitated towards Age of Apocalypse and What If issues. That stuff never bothers me.
Yeah, you're a What If guy. That's right.
I do like that. I do think Eric solved the problem pretty well with the merging of multiple Earths to make it so everyone has like the memory. So even if there is a screw up or something, it's like, oh yeah, he just remembers.
Yeah, it's a good fix for having different dimensions. But it's real hard to keep track of it sometimes.
It is, and especially like it's crazy because it's like, for most of us, like our favorite book, and we still have difficulty. So like, what if it's someone's book on the, just in a pile of other books? It's like, it's tough.
Yeah, for a casual reader, it must be hell.
All right, one more letter.
All right, we got one more.
Close it out.
From me.
Tony M. Last but not least.
Okay. Yo, bros. I already don't like where this is starting. Here's my at work on the fly reply. Okay, all right. Give me the Paul Dragon Universe Mako. Everybody loves original Mako. Not so much the serial killer Mako in this current Savage Dragon. His last appearance was his best, with the latter having shark exploded last issue. I think Savage Dragon fans need a dose of shark fin in the book. My memory is a bit hazy regarding original Mako. Is he dead? But I seem to recall that Mako in the graphic fantasy universe was an ally of Paul Dragon's. It would definitely be cool to have a one-shot flesh out. I just lost my place.
One shot, flesh out some of Paul Dragon's history.
Some of Paul Dragon's history via a story focused on Mako. Who was he? How did his reality diverge from ours, where he was a lead henchman of Overlord and went on to be one of Dragon's longest-serving antagonists? Lots of potential with Mako as a hero in the book. My initial pick for the hypothetical one-shot was Samurai, but I think you guys mentioned her during your discussion of the topic last episode. And my other pick, Dave the Robot.
Nice.
Way back from Savage Dragon 76, if I can remember correctly. It was not 76. It was...
Yeah. It was like 77 or 78. Right?
Yeah, something like that. If I remember correctly. Just might be a bit too obscure to feature in a legitimate one-shot. Anyway, dudes, great work as usual. Last episode, 125's interview with Eric was epic. And a couple of episodes ago, I liked the ska punk grunge bander. All the bands you mentioned suck. LMAO, smiley face, crying smiley face. But I'll throw my great rock band pick in for good measure. The Strokes, baby. Peace, Tony M. Why don't you stroke right on out of my face, Tony?
Yeah.
The Strokes. I don't even know what the Strokes are. I know, I recognize that shirt, but I don't know what any of their songs are. But that's a good point. Yeah, the Mako that Paul knew was very different. And I'm surprised that we didn't get more of that in the Paul issue. But it was so bogged down with other stuff that Eric had to get through that I'm sure he just didn't have time for it.
We got a little taste of Hiro Mako in the Savage world. Like, remember he was traveling in Dimension X with with Dragon and stuff.
It was Mako at his best.
Right.
And, I wish it never ended. Mako should have been a hero. There, I said it. He was better as a hero.
I was definitely a champion of Dave the Robot back in the day, and I just gave up. It's been too long now.
You always talk about Dave the Robot.
He was in one panel, wasn't he?
Yes.
And didn't even talk.
No. He's just like holding up a bunch of shit or something.
Thanks, Dave. I think
he looked cool as hell, though. And his name was Dave.
I would love to draw him again. From many different angles.
Come on, man. You can't give a robot like that the name Dave and not be memorable.
You think if his name was like Mechanicoid?
GMZX570.
20 years later? No.
Nope, Dave.
The Seeker.
It's like naming your dog Robert.
Is that not something? We have a cat named Greg.
Nice. I'm very pro naming your animals just regular names.
Right. Well, Craig, you have a responsibility now to respond to Tony about his ska punk grunge banter. He says all the bands you mentioned sucked.
I don't even remember what I mentioned, but sure.
I think you got to fight this guy.
Nothing sucks as bad as Sublime. So, are you a fan of Sublime, Mark?
No.
Right.
No, I've never liked them.
Glad you said that. Yeah, I don't remember what bands I mentioned, but Strokes suck too. So I guess that leads us to our FINteresting conversation, which I feel like we've been reading letters for an hour now. So I apologize.
It has been 58 minutes. It's almost been an hour.
Let's get into this. We're going to take a suggestion from Juan. Thanks, Juan. So if Malcolm or any of his kids started a pop punk ska band, what would be the band name? Who wants to take a crack at this first?
I mean, I've already got one.
Well, Mark said he has one, so let's let him go first. One. He's the guest. It's all riding on you.
The Two-Toed Two-Tones?
Two-Toed Two-Tones. Nice.
That's good. That is good.
I bet you guys are feeling real silly making me go first.
All right, go ahead. Jim, what do you got?
All right, off the top of my head, the Green Machines.
I think Two-Toed Two-Tones wins that one.
What do you got?
Green Machines, okay.
You have to.
I'm gonna go with Real Big Fins.
Oh God.
Okay.
I don't know. All right, I thought I had it.
I don't know. That one's a little bit too derivative, in my opinion.
We'll say the winner then is the Two-Toed Two-Tones.
The Savage Boss Tones.
Well, great. I would love to hear somebody try to beat Real Big Fins or Two-Toed Two-Tones.
Let's hear what you got. You can write us at savagefincast@gmail.com, or if you don't like this silly FINteresting conversation, offer up your own.
They got the
just write
horns
us.
wrong, I think would be another one.
Oh, nice. Now we've just wasted another good answer from someone else because someone else would have came up with that.
I'm Jim this episode. I get to have a million different answers.
So, fellas, I think you guys know what time it is.
Yeah, it's been a great show. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah.
I can't wait to talk to you guys next time.
Feels like it.
There is, in fact, a comic book at the end of this.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Hey, what do you know? Yeah, there it is.
As Raven would say, it's comic book time.
Yes, it's comic book time, fellas. So let's talk about the comic book that we want to talk about. That is a quote from Raven Perez.
So 265. We talked about this cover long ago because it was kind of striking, as you were. I was always fascinated by the glow emanating from Malcolm's crotch, of which, unfortunately, there's no story explanation for that. Christmas sweater's nice. Very festive.
I'll just imagine that he got hit so hard that his lightning powers, he lost control and it shot out his dick.
Best guess I've heard yet.
I'm sure that's what Raven would have suggested. So,
how about this Gary Frank variant cover, though?
I like it. It's a good job, I think. Yeah?
I do have it. I don't know where it went. I've got it somewhere. But yeah, I thought it was really good.
Just a lot of gore. A lot of gore coming out of that toilet.
I got mine by accident. I went to the shop to go pick it up, and they're like, "Is this cover okay?" It was a Gary Frank one. I said, "I'd rather get both." So I ended up getting both, but otherwise I wouldn't have had this cover. But yeah, it's very gory. I like that we're getting clearly Malcolm and Maxine.
Yeah.
Doing Malcolm and Maxine things. Looks like somebody reads the book.
I like it because, yeah, exactly. That's what I was going to say.
Gary knows Malcolm has 2 toes.
Mm-hmm.
He's got decent dragon proportions.
Right.
Finn looks good, even though his head's a little small.
Good. It's not just some lazy pinup.
Does look like he drew the toilet paper being put up.
You're
the
right.
Way.
Oh no.
So I'm gonna throw this away.
For a long time I didn't really care which way the paper roll went, but as I've become an adult, I've learned there's a correct way.
Bangs, not mullets. No, this is really good. I like the line work on this. I like the textures. This looks like it was colored by Nikos as well.
Yeah, most likely.
It looks like his style.
Yeah,
and this is probably a return favor for the cover that Eric did on the Geiger series by Jeff Johns and Gary Frank. But it's cool. I like it.
That's really good. It's a really good Malcolm face, too.
So we open on tragedy.
Yes.
Samurai strikes.
Yeah. Insect is dead. I think that's canonical.
Croaked.
Apparently that's a quote. Yeah. Apparently that's from something. It's like from a where it's on page 2, but where Jackson
she's been croaked.
Yeah, Jackson and the other kid are saying she doesn't look good. She's been croaked. That's a quote from like a Golden Age comic. Somebody posted it somewhere. I can't name it off the top of my head, but I've seen that. That is
Jesus.
That is a very obscure reference.
Is it like 1920s gangster talk?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's it.
She's been croaked. See?
Yeah, this issue starts off. I'm going to be honest. I'm pretty disappointed with how this Jackson story got resolved.
Like, he's missing. Oh wait. No, he's just on the far end of the beach and he found Insect's body.
I think I wouldn't have cared, but I think it was Jim that suggested that maybe there was something nefarious going on where he was getting lured away. Right. And I fell in love with that theory.
Yeah, I think
And I fell in love with that theory.
I think
I think I wouldn't have cared, but it was. I think it was Jim that suggested that maybe there was something nefarious going on where he was getting lured away. Right. But they walked away.
They're having their Stand By Me adventure.
Yeah, and it's also weird because the book is in real time, and I know there's always some fudging with the timeline, but has it been 2 months that he's been missing?
No, this is taking place simultaneously.
This happened at the same time?
Yeah. The book does jump like 2 months.
There's a time skip in the middle.
In the middle of it,
when the snow comes.
I missed the timestamp. Okay, sorry.
Yeah, when North Force comes back and the snow starts, there's a significant amount of time.
When it was snowing and 3 pages earlier, they're at the fucking beach.
They're at the beach.
What a dumbass! My God, what an idiot!
So we got Insect's body. So I guess Samurai. Just as a recap, Samurai slashed like her throat with her like. I don't know if it was her claws or whatever.
I think she just ninja struck her with her hand.
Yeah, so I guess she tipped off Paul and Mako about the VC's whereabouts. And then Samurai, when we last saw Samurai, she was like getting chased by the VC goons because Samurai was leaving like the fight. And then she caught up with Insect and killed her for ratting them out or whatever. And so we don't know where Samurai is, right, at this point.
No, I guess not.
We just know she's on the run from the Vicious Circle as well.
And she escaped with some other I don't remember who survived.
Well, she escaped out, but then they were all chasing her, like because she like was running away from the battle.
Right. She was trying to abandon them, and then they decided, you know what? This girl may not have her best interest in mind.
So do you guys think that Insect was alive when you saw this page?
No. Not at all. I thought I knew she was dead as soon as Samurai struck her, to be completely honest.
Yeah.
Opening
this page, I think pretty much confirmed it for me that she was done.
That's how Larson do.
But we still have we ever seen her powers? Does she like climb walls or something?
I don't know. Someone in one of the letters mentioned that she talks to insects. I don't know if that's ever been found.
I think that was a joke.
Now, she's got a cool design and she's bug themed.
I'm wondering if she's got some kind of healing power or something.
I mean, maybe if they had like found this and like it was a molt and like it was empty, you could think that, but I don't know.
Inside that body is just a bunch of tiny insects.
Although if they're leaving Canada, then she's probably dead, right?
This whole issue is just like wiping the board.
I mean, Jackson does something very irresponsible and tries to put his blood in her, and it does nothing.
Right.
So if she was alive at all, there would have been a reaction.
That panel is a real close-up on that kid's eyeball.
Yeah, you can see the pupil protruding.
What do you guys think of like now that we know Eric is, doing some digital art, like these real crisp borders?
I guess
these,
they are.
Panel borders are so like.
Oh, you're right.
They're very sharp. Yeah.
I'll be honest. I didn't notice those are the telltale sign of Clip Studio, because it's, in my experience, that's what their borders look like.
Well, that was one of those things that I was noticing during the Mako issue, going back to see which pages were digital and which ones were done traditionally, is the panel borders always gave it away. It's by how sharp they are.
They're very sharp. I have a little bit of experience with Clip Studio and similar, and one thing I do is I find a brush that has like a kind of a randomized grain, and I use that for panel borders, so it doesn't look this crisp.
Whereas I do hand-drawn panels, and then when I scan them in, I try to clean them up so they look sharper.
It takes all kind. It's a learning experience.
Yeah. But I got to call out Nikos here. His coloring is looking real good.
Oh, yeah.
Like, he just keeps getting better. When he first showed up on the book, I could not stand his colors, but lately he's just knocking it out of the park.
You probably agree with me. It was all too a bit garish and shiny.
Yeah.
Yellow skies and it was a little aggressive. But yes, he is.
It was really aggressive.
Significantly.
I remember seeing the issue where like was it Adam Archer, the Godland, and I love that issue. But now when I look back at like the older stuff, it is real loud.
Mm-hmm.
And then you know, he went through a few different iterations and different things where him and Eric were testing styles out and flatting things and stuff. And I think they really kind of, I think whatever he's been doing now since 250 maybe? I don't know. Was it when he started doing this around 250? I just think this is just the best it's been.
Yeah, he's doing real good work. Loving it. That just the coloring on Jackson's body there on page 2, the third panel. Just the shading and just the way he maps out those shapes, it looks great.
Yeah.
Loving it.
Gotta agree. What do you think about this page where like Dragon, you know, it's just like this discussion about well, I guess it's Paul, not Dragon, but
right.
I don't know.
Oh yeah, she's giving him a hard time.
Yeah, it seems like such an unnecessary page, but I don't know. Maybe it's some character development. Maybe there's some trouble in paradise.
It's to kind of flesh out the awkward elephant in the room about their relationship, especially if they're getting married in the near future. Or wait, no, they are married. Sorry, they're married. Right.
Sorry for listening. The Alex and Paul discussion page.
Right.
I was blanking on Alex's name.
But then does this suggest that the last issue was him telling her his backstory?
I think
after they got married?
Good point on that.
Since we're married, let me tell you.
Let me tell you the story about my stripper wife. Or no, my alter ego stripper wife and my other wife.
And my guru.
But it's weird because he's got to have all the Dragon's memories from all the different multiple worlds.
Right.
So he's got to have memories of a bunch of Emperor Kerrs as well, right?
Yes and no. I think that's a little. Well, the thing is that there would be universes with other Emperor Kerrs in them, who presumably he would get the memories of. He wouldn't necessarily have the memories of the Emperor Kerr that existed in this timeline, because that was a separate guy who died. I don't know.
I don't know. Say, I have no idea.
But what seems to have happened here is that because Paul was kind of like, remember the end of last issue, Paul goes into Dimension X because he basically can't get over the loss of his wife.
Right.
Presumably he went out to find a alternative version of her or something. But what happened was he came to this universe and then the merging happened and he got memories from Dragon. And so Alex, his new memories of Alex have kind of awoken something within him romantically. Basically, he feels like he knows her. And so she is the one he's been looking for, I guess is the takeaway.
She certainly doesn't see it that way, I guess.
Oh, I wouldn't either. This is all fucked up.
Well, I think it's because he went out to look for
Sue?
Sue, yeah.
Yeah. That makes sense. He went looking for Sue. He told her that he's looking for Sue, and she's like, huh, what?
Yeah.
I guess she's settled.
I like the panel kind of looking upward at Dragon, where you can see the real shape of his little croissant fin. You get the more of the 3D kind of look.
That angle gives it a real graphic fantasy Megaton era Paul Dragon look too.
Yeah.
Like the short head and the.
It always looks weird from the side. Like I feel like he doesn't have it down right or something.
Always.
I don't know.
We've been over it 1,000 times.
One of these days you'll teach Eric how to draw his character.
Yeah, right. It just looks weird. Unless it only looks good to me from certain angles.
Yeah, it sucks. I don't know. I guess I'm glad he changed it. So weird.
I love the little fin. I love how it's inconsistent.
I love Paul Dragon now. I mean, at first I was unsure, but I don't know. I like how he's got a different look.
We'll do it. He just needs to get that D belt buckle back.
There you go.
So we know it's him.
So Billy.
So we got.
So it's Billy. Billy's here now. He is he is joining the family.
Dude, I had to go back when I was reading this issue and be like, how did we get Billy? Speaking of like tracking continuity and things like that. I forgot. It was Dark Dragon and Battle Axe had a kid, Barry.
Mm-hmm.
And then Allison and Barry had a kid.
And Allison robbed the cradle,
yes. And their time, yeah, that still fucks with my brain. Like Barry's age before Allison killed him. It's such a weird thing. But anyway, now we got Billy.
Yeah, it is funny.
I'm trying to remember what Barry did that was of any significance in the book. I've completely forgotten about Barry.
He didn't do much.
Okay. I remember he was young.
I feel bad about Barry because, again, he's a character that could have happened with him, more stuff, because at the time he was becoming slightly more sympathetic and against Dart, and then, of course, Dart killed him immediately, which, as she's wont to do.
Well, Eric has a chance to right that wrong now with Billy.
You're right. We got one more chance.
Yeah.
We'll see how it plays out.
The Bloodline's got a lot of potential. Let's try again.
You guys... Go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, do you notice, like, in this issue, like, Paul Dragon's faces look like they're photo-referenced? Is that what you're going to say?
Exact same thing, yeah. Every shot of Paul looks like it was referenced from photo. And I wonder if he was using the same man's face to try and give him a distinct look.
Yeah.
So he doesn't look so much exactly like the other dragon that we know. Because it seems like Malcolm's not really getting...
No, just Paul.
Photo reference, but Paul, like, consistently, every panel there's...
So I get what you're saying. His face does look a little off, and it does look a bit referenced in the fourth panel of the hospital scene.
Yeah.
Exactly, yeah.
But like going back to the scene with close up on Alex, that's just Dragon's face. It's always been Dragon's face.
That one is good.
He's got the Bambi eyes and the pursed lips.
That looks like Dragon, but moving forward, you'll see. I'll point it out. There's a lot that come up.
And they're not drawn badly. It's just it doesn't look like Eric's.
Right. Right. Yep. Agreed.
So strange.
So, as the kids get older, I guess, is Amy gonna lose that, like, the way she talks? And is she or is she just still call her dad, Baba, or whatever? And now Maddie's gonna be the one with the babyish.
Some kids just say that stuff.
Yeah.
I know my niece and nephew have pet names for grandma and grandpa. Mm-hmm. I grew up calling all my grandparents grandma and grandpa. But
right.
They got different names, so that's what they use.
Yeah, mine have always been grandma, grandpa, and then I meet people like, oh yeah, that's my Meemaw. Like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Yeah, Meemaw's an odd one.
That's Bubba. Like, what? You mean
Pop and Mom? I didn't grow up with Pop and Mom, but everyone in Philly has a Pop and Mom.
Yeah. Grandmother and grandfather, we had her. And you were not to look them in the eye.
And I had 6 of them, and we all called them the same thing.
Yeah, so that might just last forever. Who knows? And right into adulthood.
So what do you guys... What do you love?
The panel of the kids jumping on the bed.
Oh, yeah.
That real skinny panel where they're flying.
That regular kid is lucky he didn't get torn in half, though. But
right,
it's always dangerous when you're hanging out with superhumans like that.
Well, that's why he's got Jackson there to protect him, just in case. So
that's a thing. What are we thinking here?
I didn't think much about it until someone else said something. Oh, like, it could be he's gay or whatever. But I think in the comicbook.com interviews that Russ Burlingame does with Eric was like, nah, it's just Jackson kind of
just
protecting
kids.
Him or something. Yeah, just kids being kids.
Because I'm imagining Parker's probably a bit younger than Jackson.
Yeah.
And older kids, even like when they're just like a little bit older, they tend to be more protective of younger kids. At least that's what I've seen. So this seems normal to me.
Yeah, I don't even think kids think that way. So
Yeah.
typically not. I wouldn't say all don't, but
He knows he's strong and he's trying to protect his kid. Good thing too, because yeah, like Jim said, they would have got ripped apart jumping on that bed.
are you guys fans of these like kind of throwback panels to like Amazing Spider-Man with like the blue and red outlines and orange and stuff like that?
I haven't read enough of that to recognize it.
I like them.
Yeah.
I think they're good.
I'm pretty happy that he's kind of gone back to these. I know we've talked about it in the past, but for such a long period, he went to traditional panels, and now to get more of these
Weird, skinny, long panels, these Todd McFarlane kind of things, and
it brings some energy.
Mm-hmm.
This again, these panels, like these photo, like the Alex and Dragon panels.
Oh yeah,
yeah. I can sort of see it in the close up of Alex here that she's reading reference some possibly.
In that one panel with
like
Dragon.
That, I gotta say, if you use your imagination to extrapolate Dragon's face in that panel, that's a goofy looking grin.
Then we get North Force coming back.
They aren't all slaughtered on an alien planet. I can't believe it.
Do you think we're ever going to see it
all worked out?
The story of them versus the Stone Men?
Probably not. No.
Oh, we got a little bit of their battle, right?
Did we?
Yeah, in 259. Remember Tootsie took that little like gun device.
Right. Yeah, that was on Earth. So yeah, we did get that little initial battle.
And then they went to their planet.
Yeah.
I still do not. I mean, I like the character designs, but I absolutely hate that he used sports names for them.
This is a weird splash too. When I first looked at this, I couldn't tell what I was looking at exactly.
Oh, you know that was a double-decker bus?
Because I didn't immediately recognize it as a double-decker bus. Yeah, I was like, is the road wet?
Oh yeah, I can sort of see how you might see it as a reflection on the road, on a wet road. Yeah, I got that.
Yeah, I'm just not used to seeing double-decker buses.
Yeah, we get a lot of those that come around in Philly in the summer for tourists, so I noticed that right away.
Yeah, we don't have those here at all.
Historic Erie, Pennsylvania.
Right.
Drop you off at the convention center, and you can go on a pirate boat ride.
We've got pirate boat rides. Jim Gaffigan's been on it, and so has Kurt Angle.
Kurt Angle?
Yeah.
The wrestler.
Yes, I know.
The Olympian.
Yeah, you got a gold medal with a broken neck.
That's very true. Is Captain Tootsie part of North Force now, or he's just hanging out with them?
He's a close associate.
Yeah. Well, I think he went to the planet with them, right?
Yeah, he was their ride.
They're back.
Who's this behind the Grizzly? There is a person hiding back there. You're right.
There's someone hiding back there. Yeah.
Huh. I don't know.
Yeah.
No idea.
It's their agent.
I just noticed that person right now.
That is really random, right?
Yeah.
Like, why would he bother drawing someone back there? I don't know.
No idea. Because they all
More
have secret.
To come, I guess.
They all have secret identities, so they wouldn't have their families with them. And that was the whole gag, is that they all got secret identities. Maybe it's the way.
But aren't most of their families dead?
Yeah, I think that was also the joke, isn't it?
Yeah, I think I
you know what?
Reading their origins, they're like, oh yeah, my whole family was slaughtered.
It could be one of the Tootsie's kids, whatever they're called.
Like Fatty or
they're a long-haired one.
I don't
little
recall.
Little Shitzo.
Yeah, Shitzo.
Dweebo.
Son of a bitch was another one.
All destined for a garbage disposal.
Little
Right.
Poopy.
No, I guess they wouldn't be named after sports teams, but then we got cleaning house with the vicious circle here.
Look, North Force is no joke. They can totally take out these jobbers.
Yeah. SOS could never do it, but North Force, give them a day.
To be fair, they're pretty unorganized.
And old now.
Yeah.
We still know that Undermine's alive, right?
Yeah.
That guy survived everything. So as a download, I guess, right?
See the red one? Download.
Who's the one above download? I don't have enough information.
Fountainhead.
Oh, it is
Shoots
Fountainhead.
lasers out of his eyes.
Water coming out of his eyeball. Yeah, that is him.
That's a laser. Come on.
See, everyone makes the same mistake.
And Carmela Toad, which that was an all-time great. That first appearance that she was in, it was like you never saw her face. And he named her Carmela Toad.
When you laid it out and revealed to everyone who the hell Carmela Toad was on the podcast, that was like one of the all-time holy shit moments, I think, of the show.
I'm sure everyone was mesmerized and amazed.
I was.
Such a weird thing.
Yeah.
Like, why would you hold that back?
Just her toad head, too. The rest of her body's totally fucking normal. Yeah, we're cleaning house. We're getting rid of pieces off the board here this issue. Vicious Circle is, I guess, done.
Yep. North Force back. Everyone's safe.
Jackson's back with the family.
Yep. And
So, Mario, you missed it on the splash of North Force. Is a few months later, North Force made their triumphant return.
I see that now, yeah.
So I'm realizing the narration.
And then it says in the following month, so it's even more, right?
Yeah, it's several months further past that. I'm noticing now that the narration captions are all from Malcolm's point of view, even the ones all the way back in the first page. They're consistently him.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I guess so. Yeah, they're all that same blue.
Yeah. Because he speaks in the first person when it comes to this first winter scene where it says, as the winter set in, I began to question my usefulness, which tells us it's been Malcolm talking the whole time.
This forest hike scene in the snow is where Paul Dragon just turns into a regular guy.
Yeah, I can definitely kind of see it. I got to say, I understand why people use the photo backgrounds for things like these trees, but it's so noticeable. It's so clearly it's clearly a filter.
Yeah, it don't bother me that much.
I'm not bothered by the trees so much as Paul's face. It's so weird and distracting. Like the line
really
weights are
is.
so different from Malcolm, who's standing right next to him.
He's got that John Wayne sort of like grimace. He's a pilgrim.
John Wayne was a Nazi.
Well, towards the end of this book, I think he went back to drawing things on the boards, so there's less of that weird digital swiping of faces.
Yeah, just for some reason, I don't know why he's going with Paul's face like that. It kind of takes me out a little bit whenever I see it.
I suspect it's because he had to draw like the head so often. It may have just saved time to block out the shapes and the positioning.
I don't know. I feel like Eric's drawn enough heads that he should be able to just bang it out. It seems like it would take more time to look up pictures.
Yeah.
Of faces.
And Malcolm's got as many heads, and they're not referenced.
Yeah.
You wouldn't think so. Based on...
I mean, it's fun to play with new techniques and stuff. So it's like I get it. I'm ready to see some Larson faces again. So bizarre. And why just Paul?
Right.
Maybe, I don't know. It is kind of just Paul, and I don't know. Maybe it's like maybe it's a joke. I don't know.
Well, I guess I don't get the joke.
Oh, what do you think about the splash scene here with good old Billy?
God damn it.
Yeah.
God damn it, Eric.
It was a real shame.
I get it. I mean, I get it because it's shocking.
Yeah.
And Billy's kind of a loose end, but wouldn't it have just been cool to have Alex and Paul just raise this kid?
Raising a little dragon boy, yeah.
Or at least give us a little bit more time to for the impact of his death, if he is indeed dead.
I think it almost sucks more that it's implied that he's been living with these guys for months now.
Right.
And so they're definitely going to be attached to him. So having him die so suddenly, I mean, the family's going to be devastated about this. Or you'd think they would be. And they are. It's just,
of course.
It just seems like it's not. Eric kills people all the time, and sometimes it feels like, but this feels like a waste. I'll be completely honest.
Yeah, a lot of times this character has run their course. It's time to get rid of him. But Billy was just full of so much potential.
Yeah, dude, he can turn into a shark.
Well,
I guess that's why it's such a shocking death.
Yeah.
And apparently Samurai has a superpower that she doesn't get cold.
Once again, I mean, I'll never understand why going around without your underwear is practical at all, because doesn't it get dirty?
I will say I am happy to see her use samurai swords.
That's true.
I think this is the first time we've seen her use it. Such a weird character, right? Kind of came out of nowhere.
It up too. He's like, well, I don't know where you got that sword. She's a neat visual, though.
It really is, yeah. She definitely is, and I think that's probably why she's kind of stood out in the book and was always kind of with the new Vicious Circle goons, kind of post issue 150 or something, or 115. Was always kind of hanging around, and then she finally got the spotlight.
I love that Eric managed to find new and interesting ways to show her ass and vagina before she gets killed.
Yeah, where she lands head first in the snow and goes ass over head.
Right. Yeah.
So dignified.
Yeah, was it that page? Yeah, that page where she falls headfirst in the snow. Those jagged panel borders, those ones look like they were done traditionally.
Maybe.
Versus 2 pages prior.
Yeah.
That look really digital. But it's still got those nice crisp corners on those panel borders on the last 2 panels. So I wonder if he's still doing those.
He might have done it for consistency.
Just consistency, yeah.
Maybe.
What about these speed lines? They're so thin.
Yeah.
I think they look cool.
Yeah, they don't bother me. But they definitely look different, and you can tell.
Maybe these are the kind of speed lines that Eric has been trying to accomplish his entire career.
Finally perfected.
Got it. I think they look neat. I started doing my speed lines digitally recently too, and you save so much time.
Well, you just stick a perspective guide on there and just start drawing lines, right?
Bloop 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 bloop. Yeah. Instead of having to find your vanishing point on your page and moving the ruler around, it's so quick. I don't blame him at all. And this panel here with Maxine running, it looks like that one may have been referenced too. It looks more like a jogging pose.
Yeah, but she's a regular girl.
Yeah.
Are we we live in an era post Larson boxcars now?
I think they're gone. Yes, unfortunately, rip boxcars.
No more 1970s cars.
Well, I miss them already.
I do miss them already.
These look like those when Marvel would do those comics, like "Goodbye, Alexis."
Yeah,
You're not wrong.
You know,
definitely some Honda placement there.
I'm sure it's nice to draw cars that actually look like cars, but they do look out of place in Savage Dragon. Look like Transformers or something.
The action in this issue is great, though. I do enjoy the Malcolm Samurai fight. It's always Eric always does really well with these things, and just the panel with Malcolm kicking her in the head and her hair. Like, I love the way her hair looks when she's like flying around, and just the energy of her like flying through the snow with her, like, we said, her ass up in the air is kind of funny, but it gives you real sense of movement. Yeah. Love the way the trees look like in that panel, where it's not photo referenced, I don't think, in those.
That panel is giving me big Sienkiewicz vibes. Just the way those lines look. They're so frenetic and wild.
It is such a weird thing, though, that this character, like, the trademark of this character is just
no underwear,
tits and ass everywhere. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
It's so weird.
I didn't realize this. When she swings her sword, she cuts all those trees down.
Yeah, that
kind of impressive.
The sound effect kind of. I didn't notice that at first when I read it.
Oh, the shack thing.
I think it's shack. Yeah.
That is pretty cool.
I like the.
I think it's hard to notice because her hair almost looks like
a tree. Yeah.
Like blends in.
Yeah. And poor Paul lost his new arm.
He's always losing that thing. I like how he's carrying it as they run to the cars.
He's gonna put it back on.
Just do a scene like Monty Python where she just keeps lopping off his limbs.
Right.
The one panel. Well, first, I like the bottom panel, like the one where with the rock on it, where she's kicking Malcolm. The ink's on Malcolm's face and his lips. That's so cool. And
this one looks like it was drawn traditionally.
Yeah, I love the chunky inks.
Yeah. Which is crazy because when he said that he started doing stuff digitally, I was blown away.
Right.
Because for someone as like, he doesn't understand technology a lot, that man. He's basically like a caveman. But like, he picked it up real quick to the point where he had so many people fooled.
Yeah, like if you look at this page, it doesn't look anything different than a typical page.
If he hadn't said anything, I never would have known.
No,
I might have picked up on the crisp panel borders in this issue, but probably not.
I picked up on the crisp panel borders. I picked up on some of the speed lines and stuff. I'm like, those are definitely digital, but I thought everything else was drawn on the board, but he was able to replicate his normal ink line pretty close digitally, and that's crazy. But yeah, when you see the stuff that's drawn on the boards here, those chunky brush strokes here.
Yeah.
Where he just
blobs it on. Yeah.
Yeah. Like that one that got the 6 panels of them just going back and forth with those jagged panel borders.
Yeah.
Like that whole page, besides the speed lines, looks like it was drawn on Bristol.
Yeah. Agreed. And he can go back and forth between like the chunky and the thin, and it looks natural.
Yeah, it's crazy.
So if you died by getting your mask punched off, would you have more than one strap on your mask?
So what do you think her deal is? Because not only did she just drop dead the moment her mask came off, her hair went white from black to white. So she like hyper aged as soon as the mask came off.
Yeah, you can see her laying down and her hair starting to turn, like when she falls to the ground, her hair starts to turn white. So, in that top panel.
So was she is she the mask? Is she been the mask the whole time?
Yeah, maybe it's like the way I read it was once she's exposed to like the air that's why she wore the mask to filter something.
It is a gas mask. You're right. It does. It is an air filter. Just interesting. She just dropped dead.
Now she's got one of those Gil Kane vampire noses, or do you think that's just her nose decomposing rapidly?
That's her skin just contracting rapidly. So? I would say so. Yeah, because she looks mummified.
Yeah, it looks like she's probably some like ancient. I think that's the gag. Like she's got a hot body, and she's always trying to like show it off or something. But she's like 200 years old.
Even though Malcolm's disgusted that she looks like she's in her 40s, I bet you find that very insulting, Craig.
Yeah,
he was very put off by her vaginas.
But she's like every insult that she lands at him, it's like, oh, you infant, adolescent.
Well, he does it's a bit. She does like insolent child, arrogant infant, egotistical adolescent. And then
she's 300 fucking years old. Everybody's a child to her, right? That's how
she must have some like crazy beef curtains or something because Malcolm keeps commenting on it.
He's not a fan.
He plucked off that mask, and then North Force comes.
Yep.
We'll take over from here.
Yeah, we did it.
Oh, I have to say this because I find it funny. So the panel where her mask comes off and she's just like the hair on the body.
Yeah, I know what you're going to say.
The Calvin face.
I can only see the Calvin face.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's considered a tangent, but I think it's because there's like that one little bit that looks like a nose poking out of it. I don't know.
I think it's mostly that one part just looks like a chin that gives it that whole face look, and it's bizarre.
Then we get the news that Billy's done. Do you guys believe it?
Yes, I do, unfortunately. I mean, nobody even tried to give him dragon blood. What were they thinking?
But how does that work? He's the son of Dark Dragon. Dark Dragon lost his regenerative powers, right?
And as soon as that was all my thinking is that okay. So Billy, Barry.
No, he's the grandson of Dark
He's
Dragon.
The grandson of Dark Dragon. But Barry.
Oh my god.
Okay, listen, we're gonna go through it. So get ready.
All right, let me get a pen. Hold on.
Barry was born of Dark Dragon and Battle Axe when Dark Dragon did not have his regenerative power. So Barry did not have Chosen One abilities when he was born. Dark Dragon.
What are Battle Axe's powers?
She's just Dimension X badass. She's just strong. She's an alien.
Okay.
But so if he lost his powers and he gives birth to a kid, the kid doesn't have the powers.
Let me finish the lineage.
I'm sorry.
Oh, feisty Jim's coming out towards the end.
So Barry was born a normal Krylin with whatever Battle Axe was mixed in, which wasn't enough to make him significantly stronger than a normal person. However, Dark Dragon, all he needed was a jab of Dragon's blood to get back to 100%. So it makes me wonder if those who are born Krylins, if they just need a Chosen One injection to become Chosen Ones. Because I can't think of any circumstances where a Krylin has been injected with Chosen One blood and exploded. They seem to all survive naturally. So Billy, being half shark and half Krylin, well, I guess it'd be a quarter, but I think he would have survived based on the information that we have. Billy would have survived with an injection. Granted, his brain was damaged, so he probably would have had memory loss, just like Dragon did.
Well, doesn't Malcolm had his head like blown off partially?
Yeah, I can't recall if
didn't Dart like throw a dart and like
did she
in the episode that the issue she died, didn't like Malcolm get mangled and like part of his brain explode or something? No,
I don't recall. I'll have to check on that. But he was already a Chosen One. It's possible that when that kind of damage happens, he starts healing immediately, whereas here there would have been a delay. I don't know. I'm just saying.
Earlier in this issue, Jackson did try to bring Insect back with his blood. I wonder if that is setting something up, or if that's just someone's always trying to give someone dragon blood in every issue of this book.
Well, that's kind of what I was thinking, is that Jackson's already tried it once, and he was right there. Now, granted, he had just been chastised about it, and that he should never do that again.
Right.
But considering the circumstances and the fact that Billy was part Krylon, I would have taken the chance, to be completely honest, if I was in that scenario. But clearly they didn't.
I think that's a good point.
The real question is, can Paul survive a shot of it too and get Dragon's powers back? Because he's not a chosen one either.
I don't think we're going to find that out. I think Eric's kind of said his piece with Paul.
Yeah, we're done with everything that happened in this issue. Let's move along and get to San Francisco. I think that's Eric's attitude right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how about that Connor Tierney?
Who?
Isn't he just the best?
Friend of the show and Super Freaks contributor and all around swell dude.
If I remember correctly,
Swell Scotsman.
If I remember correctly, he posted this on social media a while back. This crossover between Kid Eastwood and Malcolm. But here we see it in color, I believe, for the first time, and printed in Savage Dragon. So that's got to be radical.
Yeah.
I thought it was fun. It was great, and I love the way it kind of ended. Like the whole punchline thing was.
That's a great punchline at the end there. These colors work too. And Connor's what? He's like 15 years old, 12 or something.
He's probably closer than that to that. Yeah, probably could be like my kid.
This book is older than him.
Yeah,
to have that affinity for like this weird, shitty old coloring, I find it's strange for somebody so young. And he does it really. I assume he colored this himself.
I don't see another credit. He must have.
Yeah.
No, like he's super talented, and he really, like, even with his Super Freak story, he just really nailed the feel of Savage Dragon, which I think a lot of people struggle with when they try to do like a backup or something like that, you know?
Yeah.
And he's just one of those guys that just gets it. Gets the tone and the look.
Yeah, this is a lot of fun. He's going places.
Yeah, if you haven't checked out his Kid Eastwood book, he puts one out and then he collects them in little like manga-sized digests, which are cool. Got a couple. I know you enjoy it too, Jim, right?
I enjoy it a lot. It's probably one of my favorite comics right now.
Wow.
Ooh, high praise from Jim, who hates everything.
Do I hate everything? I mean, I hate a lot of things. But I'm honestly pretty open about the comics I read. I mean, I read Marvel and DC. My standards are very low.
All right. So there you go. Kid Eastwood is just as good as Marvel and DC.
At least that good.
It's at least as good as Marvel and DC. Now, when he said he had a backup in this book, I was expecting a reprint of the story he did in Super Freaks.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Because I know Eric had mentioned that he was considering maybe running some of those in the main book at some point, I think.
I think he said that before he published it at Image.
Yeah, I think that was
kind of the idea. But,
yeah.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, that was. But hey, some of those stories could use some color.
Right. But yeah, this is fantastic. And we've got a Ken Albury fan art.
Who apparently wasn't told it was going to get printed and was very surprised and excited to find out.
Right.
And a pinup by John Ashton Golden, who also was in Super Freaks.
That is correct. This looks like it was drawn in 2016 and colored in 2021.
Yeah, so the story on that, I think that this pinup showed up in that Image Grand Design bootleg, I want to say.
Okay.
And he first offered it for Super Freaks, but we kind of just wanted all original stuff. So he did, I think he did Kill Cat instead. And so this one, he's just kind of had on him. So I'm glad that Eric published it in Savage Dragon because it is a cool pinup.
Yep.
Yeah, it's neat. It's like he colored this himself, I imagine.
I think so. Yeah, looks like it from all his other stuff I've seen. He's a great artist. Definitely would like to see more of his stuff in the future.
Yeah, this thing is full of Super Freaks contributors. Except who did the back cover? Do we know? Can we read that name?
What which one's the back cover? Is it the Angel?
Yeah, the Angel and all the floating heads.
I'm not sure who drew that.
I can't make it out.
The signature is very small and blurry on my copy, and I don't have the letters pages, where I'm sure it would be told.
Grunwald, maybe? Oh, you don't have the letters?
I don't.
I only have my digital. I haven't got my physical copy yet either. So
it doesn't mention in the letters. It just says there's plenty of additional funny book fun to be had in the pages that follow. So
it's a cool pinup, though.
Yeah,
I like all the floating heads of the different villains.
I like it a lot. I wish I knew who it was.
There's a corpse. There's a corpse. There's a corpse.
Yeah, who's still alive?
Rogue Warrior.
Yeah, Rogue Warrior still alive.
Glum. I guess Roughneck is.
Roughneck. I hope we see more of him.
What was the woman with like the worms on her head's name? I forget.
I actually have no idea.
Fever?
No, that's not Fever. Fever is like Medusa. She just showed up like recent. Like I feel like she hasn't been around for more than 20 issues.
Oh.
Yeah.
Come on, Mark.
I don't know.
That's why we brought you on. You're supposed to know these things.
I know it's not Wormlock, who also has like worm hair.
For a second, I thought it was the one dude with the worms in the forehead. Forget his name. What was his
one
name?
dude with a worm in the head?
Remember?
Well, they had the whole worm gang, but
the ones that talked, like one was good, one was bad. It was
Torment.
Torment, yeah, but it's a woman clearly.
Yeah,
yeah. There's no mixing that up.
Yeah, I have no idea who this character is.
Yeah, somebody tell us. Let us know.
Gavin would know. Too bad he's not available to be on the show, right?
So I think it's about time we wrap this up. This was a stacked episode with all those letters, FINteresting Conversations, this issue, which was, death-filled, but which ones aren't?
Hellfire is the name of her.
Hellfire?
Sorry. Yes.
Who is that?
I would have
first appeared in Savage Dragon 254.
Oh, so she's recent.
Yeah.
So she's probably alive?
Probably.
Or was that her death issue as well? This book, who knows?
No, I don't think so. She's probably still alive.
I'm glad we got to the bottom of that. Right under the buzzer. You would be getting so many emails about that.
I don't know. It's just that one guy. There's the one guy, Mark, that always makes these goddamn comments.
Thinks he knows it, and he comes on the show, doesn't know Hellfire.
Yeah, bozo.
What an asshole. Do not have him on your show ever again.
I think you like Sublime, too. And Strokes.
His favorite band.
Poser.
Yeah.
Goddamn poser.
Go fuck yourself.
Worm wrestler.
All right,
great. Thanks.
Yeah. Thanks for listening to the Savage FINcast. We got a next issue blurb. Raven's not here to do it as he does, so I will do it as I do. Savage Dragon 266. The next chapter, Malcolm Dragon joins Special Operations Strike Force and makes a move to San Francisco. A new adventure begins here. A new town, new friends, and new foes. Get in on the ground level of a whole new chapter in the life of Savage Dragon and family. Another outstanding achievement from the award-winning writer-artist Eric Larson. See, I do it more like a sitcom, like ad.
Sitcom.
Yeah.
That's great.
It sounds like the 1980s kind of commercials for a Disney movie.
Exactly.
Beautiful.
Way too fucking happy.
I'm glad Raven wasn't here to read that because that was an amazing performance. Thank you, Jim.
What did you call it for? The Dragon Ball Z voice?
That Raven does?
Yeah.
Oh, it's totally the Dragon Ball Z. Last time on Dragon Ball Z. If there was any way that you guys could put the Dragon Ball Z music while he's reading those, it'd be perfect.
Well, right now Raven's down in a van by the river, drawing comics.
I hope they're good.
It better be.
He's missing this to draw some pictures. They better be good.
We need to get Augie DeBleek Jr. in to wrap up our retros with our Freak Force issue.
We sure do.
Let's work on that, dear listener.
Well, he just commented today that he really wants to do it. I guess he was mad at whoever was on the last retro episode, was talking some mad trash on Freak Force.
How dare they?
He wants equal time.
We need to hear his
we
version.
are definitely intending to do that. We will not do that Freak Force episode without him. I will say that.
I'm very much looking forward to hearing that. So I know he's a big fan, and I would love for him to articulate what it is that he likes about that boring fucking book.
All right. I think that's a wrap.
Yep. Thanks, everyone. Thanks for listening. See you again next time.
Bye-bye. Poot.